We have a massive storm coming in. Probably be here in the next hour or so, maybe. Hopefully the power doesn't go out. Before that, though, I'm gonna finish this paperwork off real quick, and then we'll open this final box. Paperwork. Sometimes I wonder where I'd be if I actually never had that severe concussion in college. It's half the time I'm in a phase, and I know my mind just doesn't work as well as it used to at all. You know, pretty sure if I never got that concussion, I could have probably did a lot more physically intensive job a lot more efficiently. Because before, when I was in college and before I got my concussion, I actually got to a point where I never walked at all. I ran everywhere, ran or jog all the time. And I tried to keep that up after the concussion, but eventually it just kept getting worse. And I couldn't manage to do it anymore. And it even affected my lifting to a point where I was having blackouts and fevers. So I took a break. But I feel like what I've been doing the last few years has been helping. Like I slowly feel better. I think I'm slowly improving my overall health, even if I am out of shape. And hopefully by the time I get this gym built, I won't have any more problems. Plan anyway. Right. Final box. I was very tempted to keep one of these and just sell it off later, but collector boosters are so tempting, man. All right, first pack. I'll try to knock this out a little bit quicker if I can. Uh, Mary artwork, foil island. I'll take that. Um, Ungol Patrol, Shelob's Ambush. This is a card we haven't seen yet. Instant. Target creature gets 1/2 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. Create a food token. That's something that the web card that I'd seen. It was like something about if a creature attacking creature dies or something, it gets turned into a food token, something like that. All right, Hobbit Sting, Pippin's Bravery, Many Partings, Fearfire Foes, Foray of Orcs, different artwork. March from the Black Gate, so we got 2 of these now. Enters the battlefield, and whenever an army you control attacks, amass Orcs 1. Interesting. Peregrine Took. Oh, we got the card, boys! Not specifically the artwork I was wanting, but Aragorn the Uniter. The Fellowship deck is coming into play. So, red, green, white, blue, 4-cost, 5/5. Whenever you cast a white spell, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, you scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, Aragorn the Uniter deals 3 damage to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets 4/4 until end of turn. And these, I mean, his artwork on here, it's not terrible. Not the best, but not terrible. Foil, full art, I'll take it. Definitely gonna be the Fellowship Commander. So we will use him to replace the commander in our human deck thing, pre-con. Because we haven't made any adjustments to that yet, and we need a different commander for it. This opens up blue spells and stuff to be in there. Also, a lot of the cards that we want to put in there, like Gimli or Legolas, Eowyn, all those people, they're usually 2 colors, and that like Legolas is like blue-green. So you do that, you get scry 2, and then target creature gets 4/4 till end of turn, which isn't terrible. Yeah, basically, if he's on the field, you're getting like way more value out of your things. It's basically casting like 2 spells, 2 or 3 spells all at the same time, which I'm all for. But if we make the bulk of our things half white, it means that every time we cast a spell, we would get one. Like if we did white blue, we would get a human soldier and the blue thing. So that'd be good. Aragorn the Uniter. Actually, looking at this guy, if I can get it in there, looks like Django. If we're being realistic, looks like Django. And Theoden looks like the dude from The Walking Dead. Pretty good artwork though. Pretty solid artwork. I am fine with that. I wish they had like cards that had different versions, like the different artworks, you could just make them different looks. First pack out of the last deal. That's what I'm saying. Just like the collector booster pack, we went through that whole box, and then the very last pack, we got the card that we wanted, Faramir, um, the commander for the Gundor deck. Last pack, we got him. So I've been on a roll with lax packs of the day. Here we got another Belrog art. Mountain Map, Gimli's Fury, Elborn Flamesmith, Shire Terrace, Baggin Porter, Miramir Guardian, Rosy Cotton of South Lane, Paradin Took, Brandylock, Sheriff, Spiteful Banditry, The Bathing Song foil. Okay. That one not so good. I don't know if this mic is any good at all, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Faramir art. Basic Mountain, Kingflung Knots, Willowwind, Greyhaven's Navigator, Nimrodill Watcher, Prince Imahir the Fair, Strider, Ranger of the North. So like when he comes in, you do 3 damage to target opponent, and you would get 4/4 on a creature until end of turn. So that's pretty good. Eowyn, Lady of Rohan, Pippin's Bravery, full art, Ring Wraiths. I think that's a card that we don't have yet. I'm not sure. Enters the battlefield, target creature opponent gets a -3/-3 until end of turn. If that creature is a legendary, its controller loses 3 life. When the ring tempts you, return Ring Wraiths from your graveyard to the hand. So this is going to be really good for Ring Wraith deck. 100%. The ring goes south. The ring tempts you, reveal the cards from the top of your library until you reveal X land cards, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. So this is actually pretty good for the Fellowship deck. 4 cost, ring tempts you, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X land cards or X's number of legendary creature control, which can be pretty big, and then put those land cards onto the battlefield tapped and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. That could be really good for a Fellowship deck. Inherited Envelope foil. I like it. That's the second one that we got of that, I think. The other one was a basic. I don't think we've gotten many Inherited Envelopes. There might be one in the pre-con packages that we bought, but other than that. But yeah, the more I play Magic, the more I'm interested in having like a couple of decks that I modify, and then the rest of them just being like pre-con decks. And then if I want a card out of one of those pre-cons, I can go back and look at it, and then go find that card and buy that card and put it in a single pack. I'm thinking. So we got another Saruman Tea Drinker. Swamp Mapland, Improvised Club, Lash of the Balrog with the cool art. Nasty End, Bill the Pony, Stu the Convoy, Shire Sheriff, Butterbur, Bee Innkeeper, Grimly Counter of Kills. 1 damage. Rivendell, full art. Add a blue, pay 2, scry 2, activate only if you control a legendary creature. Not bad. I would like that in an elf deck, but we can make that work. Rangers of Ithilien. I think this is the second one I've gotten of this. Enters the battlefield, gain control of up to 1 target creature with lesser power for as long as you control Rangers of Ithilien. Then the ring tempts you. That's a pretty good card as well. Also with Rangers of Ithilien, the thing with this is that thematically it would go better in a Gundor deck or something like that. But with something like this, 4 cost, vigilance, 3/3, enters the battlefield, gain control of up to 1 target creature. So, I mean, it's until this dies, and the ring tempts you. But something like the Mordor deck, this could potentially work really well in, because they have a lot of stuff that takes creatures already, you know? But, yeah. Good stuff. So we got the Bird Horror and foil. Full art. And Mass Orcs 2. Not bad. Doo-doo. I'm pretty piped that we got the Uniter though. I don't know how much he costs online, but I prefer not to have to buy any more cards after buying these things. And we've actually had some really good luck with these the packs. Like, not that I got my money back, but I happened to get a variety of cards that I needed for different decks, which is pretty good. Basic Mountain, Wizard Rockets, Imp's Fury, Great Hall of the Citadel. So now we got another one of these. So I got plenty of these that I can spend in a bunch of different decks, which I'm kind of stoked about, because Marchesa's going to need one at least. If I rebuild Edgar Markov, I might put one in there maybe. Because they have a Vampire Dragon now, and I like having one dragon in each of my decks. So Edgar Markov might have to come back out. The problem is when I played Edgar Markov in the past, the people banned me. He was too strong, and people didn't let me play with him. But he was the first commander that I really bought a precon for and was using, and just happened to be that he was super strong. I just like the look. Like, I looked at all the cards that looked like commanders, and then I saw him, and I was like, that's a pretty cool looking guy. Like, he's not exactly my style, but he's all right. Saruman the White. Brash Inquisitor, Gronz the Gatebreaker, Goblin Fireweaker doing Sedabane, Rivendell regular card. So now we got a couple of Rivendell. So we got one for the Fellowship deck, and we got one for the Elf deck, which is fine with me. Easterling Vanguard foil. Not bad. I'm not a big fan of Easterling Vanguard, but it does amass orcs when it dies. So if you get board wiped, at least you'll have your orc army still. That's the big takeaway there. That's what it's for. We got probably Bag End, I'm guessing. Art. swamp foil that doesn't look like a swamp at all. There's a river right in the middle of it. Nifdaf, the Dead Marshes, and the Black Gate. This might be the one that we were missing before. I would like to have. That's the thing I'm having problems with is like part of me wants to play with the shiny cards, but the other part of me wants to put all the shiny cards in a book and never touch them, you know? But I don't have any shiny card decks, so you know. Slip on the Ring, Birthday Escape, Erwin's Gift, Grimward Rungtung, House of Healing, Rider of the Riddermark, Eckenbrand, Lord of Westfold, Prince Imhir the Fair with the good art, full art, you know? That's the thing that, ooh, right there. The good art with that big battle scene, that's the stuff that you gotta like, right there. Gimli, Mournful Avenger. See, so it's red and green. So if you played this, you would get to do 3 damage to a target, and then you get to put 4/4 on a creature for a turn. Indestructible as long as 2 or more creatures died under your control this turn. I don't fully understand that. So it's like whenever another creature control dies, you put a 1/1 counter on Gimli, and when the ability resolves for the 3rd time this turn, I mean, it fights. So basically, like if he was your commander, you want to swing in with a bunch of stuff. And I guess somehow have 2 things die before he enters combat. Or I guess you could swing in with your stuff, have them die to combat, then he would gain indestructible. And then you could board wipe. And then he would get a bunch of 1/1 counters. But basically, if he's on your field, you get 2 of your creatures to die, or 3 of your creatures to die, he gets 3 1/1 counters, and then he gets to fight something. So you can just do 6 damage to it. Nimble Hobbit Foil. Nice. Acidic Soil. 1 damage to each player. Ooh, what? Some of these cards I've never seen, but like that right there just seems crazy. I mean, not super crazy, but deals 1 damage to each player for each land he or she controls. That's pretty big. You'd smack someone for like 20 damage. It's a sorcery too. Like you'd Spellbinder, just keep hitting everybody. Jeez. Be good. It's alright. Try to get this done with real quick. Also, like when it comes to playing video games compared to like Magic, like I take breaks from Magic. Usually I go and I play some Magic, you know, it gets me to like interact with people in my community, which is hard to do. You don't get to meet that many people in my community in general. We got Eowyn. Whereas like if you play on a video game, you get to meet a lot of people, but it's not like people that you generally get to meet. Like there was one game that I played, which I believe was I think it was Scum, where there was people in my home state that met each other once a year, and they played together on the game. That's probably the closest thing that I've ever seen to like community, but it's just easier like when you have people in your hometown and you get to see them and you can do some charity and you know you get to meet each other every day and you get to help each other out. Whereas if you're online, it's very difficult to just help somebody out and you don't know if you're going to get um you know like scammed or anything or hacked or it's a bunch of stuff going on, you know, like I can go buy a $30, $40 Commander Precon deck and then find some kids that are coming to the local like area to play Magic and give them one of those and like I every day that I come back, like every week I come back or like a few months later I can come back and see them play that deck and how they've changed it. Whereas like when I play a video game, it's like I can make suggestions for things to people to do. I can show people how to do things faster or better than they were previously and then they can use it, but eventually like things get stale and I have to continuously try to make more content, which is fun. But it's mainly about playing one thing over and over. Like most streamers have that same issue, like they stay on one thing because you need to stay on one game if you want to build your following and get really good at it. But usually at some point they try to transition. They always have that awkward talk. But I've always played different games. I don't care if I lose followers or not. I've been up hundreds, I've been down hundreds, come and go. I figure I'll come back for Star Citizen if it ever releases, or if they implement AI into like No Man's Sky or something like that, I might come back. But like Guild Wars wise and stuff, I don't have a problem playing the game, and I like the thematic role play of it and all that. But in the grand scheme of everything, like tactical shooter games have always been the thing that I've been the best at, probably. Um, and Star Citizen's gonna have like shooters and flyers and MMO and all that stuff, so it's gonna Oath of the Great Host. This is something we haven't seen yet. You and target opponent each create a food. Okay. Each opponent loses 3 life. Create a treasure token. Create 3 tap spirit tokens with flying. That's weird. Why is it making a food? Doesn't make much sense to me. Also, it's a black card. It's like the Grey Host, they're all black, which makes it seem like there's, as far as I know, there's like one pair for Frodo and Sam, I think, that has black in it. That's a good card. Or you got the Steward of Gondor. Um, but there's no way to get Aragorn in there in a black deck, and there's no Aragorn commander that has black in it. So I'm not sure how that works exactly. Priest, Summoner, Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. We got another Nazgul. Ching ching. I think it's a different art, also normal. Um, so that gets us to 4 Nazgul so far. Display of Power. Doomdane Rangers foil. I can dig it. We're gonna need to make some adjustments with all of our new cards for the. That's the other thing is like I want to separate like the Mordor and Sauron and Saruman and the Witch King and all them into separate individual decks. But right now that deck's been doing really good on its own with just the moderate changes that I've made to it. And so I think I should keep the one the way it is now as like the pre-con version, and then buy another one and separate them. Even though the pre-con is the one that has all my shiny stuff in it. I don't know. I think I'd like just having them connected would be good. All right, so we got a signed married couple. Who knows if the artwork's worth anything? So we got Swamp Land, we got Esquire the King, Knights of Dol Amroth, Dunedain Blade, Theoden King of Rohan. Um, Luke the White Hand, Mingus Morgus Mortal, Saruman's Trickery, Elephant Full Art. Nice. That'd be really good in standard. Boromir, Warden of the Tower Ring Art, King of the Oathbreakers. We got another one. I mean, you could have the King of the Oathbreakers as his own commander, I guess. But what are you gonna do? Have like Aragorn fight them and then make them fight for him before they all die or something? Seems odd, you know? You'd have to make a game mode where it's like the Oathbreakers can't attack Aragorn or something, but they don't really do anything in the movies until, the end. Shanky, Terrant of the Shire. Oh, that wasn't Sauron. Activated abilities of lands your opponent control can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So that would shut down a lot of stuff. This one's also blue-black. Shanky Tired of the Shire has all activated abilities of lands your opponents control except mana abilities. He's an Avatar rogue. That's interesting. I don't know who this is. I need to look that up, but it is foil, so it's cool. Akina, Temple of the Grandfathers. In the land can be said to have a heart. Akina is the heart of Kimigawa, so that's a different card, I guess. Yeah. Legendary land, tap to add a green mana, pay green mana, tap. Target legendary creature gets 1/1 till end of turn. Not the best, not the worst. It's alright. The other thing is that as much as I want to buy a whole lot of Lord of the Rings cards again, so we got one more collector pack before we're done with this. I want to do my Queen Marchesa deck, and man, it's good. I've already found some things I'm gonna have to cut at some point, but man, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Um, Especially that Kiwagama like armor battle dog thing. Since it's an equipment creature, you can search it out and play it early and goad people's stuff like turn 4, which would be great. Basically, just goad people's stuff, make them attack each other. I mean, you can only make one person goad each turn, but basically, if you can get someone who has creatures and you can swing through and goad them or force them to block you with your death touch tokens. So we got foil, breaking the fellowship. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. It might have been mine. It could be mine. Give it to me. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. It's interesting because the Breaking of the Fellowship I would put in the Fellowship deck, but it also seems like it would fit in like a Mordor deck or something because the Breaking of the Fellowship is from the ring tempting somebody, which I think is what they're trying to show here. Um, so I think it could go in either. Boromir looks cooler in that photo as well. Nasty End is additional cost of sacrifice. Sacrifice creature, draw 2 cards. If the sacrifice creature was legendary, draw 3 cards instead. Nasty End looks a little bit better, and it's also foil. And Rage Gorn, trample, enters battlefield, the ring tempts you. Now for Wrath, now for Ruin foil. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. They gain vigilance until the end of turn. The captains of the West came at last to challenge the Black Gate and the might of Mordor. Captains of the West, but now that's what they said for Rohan in the movies, I think. Entis Restoration, Gollum Patient Plotter. We got a Swamp. Pippin Guard of the Citadel. Not exactly the hard art that I wanted, but it's alright. Another target creature you control gains protection from the card type of your choice until end of turn. Can't be blocked, targeted, deck damage, enchanted, or equipped by anything of that type. Card type of your choice. Vigilance and Ward 1. Not the best, not the worst. I could put this Faramir. Because, yeah, basically you're going to have to put this in the Faramir Gondor deck. Because you can't make the Steward deck like the movie and have him in it because he has different colors than the Steward, since he's white blue. Kind of annoying, but also I guess you could say that maybe technically in the movie the Steward died before Faramir took over, and then you could say he took over afterwards. and Pippin was still there, so maybe it would make sense. Forge Anew enchantment. Forge Anew enters the battlefield. Return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you can cast an instant. You may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equipment ability you activate during each of your turns. I like this card. I would put this in Queen Marchesa as well, now that I've seen it. 3 cost, enters the battlefield, boom. Resurrects an equipment card to the battlefield, and then you get equipped for free. Not terrible, not the best, but also this could be brought back with Sun Titan, as well as like probably Codex Shredder. Yeah, I think Codex Shredder does everything. But yeah, Sun Titan could bring this back. So then you could just like this gets destroyed, you play Sun Titan or something, comes down, resurrects this back to the battlefield, enters the battlefield, lets you resurrect an equipment, then you get equip the equipment for free to Sun Titan. So like Swiftfoot boots or whatever, get haste, and then like attack with Sun Titan, bring back another equipment, bring it back next turn, free equip. Be pretty good. Um, Dundane Protector. Pretty good. Grimly counter kills Frodo, Sauron's Bane. Yeah, so this is the white-black Frodo that you could have. If Frodo Sauron's Bane is a citizen, it becomes a halfling scout with base power and toughness 2/3 and lifelink. If Frodo is a scout, it becomes a halfling rogue with whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game if the ring has tempted you 4 more times this game. Otherwise, the ring tempts you. Interesting. I kind of like it. Um, I think it'll be 2/3. I don't know if it'd be 2/3 or 1/2, but it'd be unblockable from big things if it's the ring bearer. But also, I mean, it's a 1 mana 1/2, and then turn 2, it would become a 2/3 with lifelink, and then turn 3, it could be a scout. And you could get tempted. So I mean, turn 3, this thing could be swinging in and tempting itself. And the thing is like if you have enough tempt cards in your deck, turn 3, turn 4, I mean, you might be able to tempt yourself like 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times, and just one-shot people every turn, like instantly win the games. Witch King of Agmar. So we got another one of these guys, which is something that's good because we don't have this guy in the decks. He doesn't come in the decks, nor does the Nazgul guy. So if you're gonna do Lord of the Nazgul as a deck, then you're gonna have a Witch King of Agmar. So I mean that's just a given. So we got Shire Sheriff foil, full art, Legolas Master Archer ring art foil, and food token. I'm not super upset or anything about having another Witch King, so it's not too bad. Having a Nazgul deck, I think, is going to be the primary thing that I'm interested in. Because potentially, I mean, the Nazgul right now are useful in Sauron, but I don't know if they're necessary. Like the Nazgul, we don't have any of the let me think about this for a second. Because like Sauron the Necromancer is in the deck for them, and it lets you like sacrifice or exile creatures and make 3/3 wraiths. Um, the Lord of the Nazgul, I don't think does anything super crazy. Yeah, you can still, well, they're sold out, but Magic the Gathering, Lord of the Nazgul. Lord of the Nazgul is a $15 to $20 card. Get back up here real quick. Race you control have protection from ring bears. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 3/3 black wraith creature token with menace. If you control 9 or more wraiths. Yeah. So, instant or sorcery spell. That does kind of fit, if we're going to be perfectly honest, it does kind of fit with Sauron and Saruman. Because you're making a race. I mean, you could put Saruman and the Nazgul together, but also, like, there's not enough cards to really separate them all too much either. Like, you probably could if you use cards outside from Lord of the Rings, but together they're also pretty solid because you got Saruman, you got Sauron, and you got the Nazgul, and then together they still kind of work. But like we have some cards that aren't even in the deck yet, and I don't even know what we would replace if we were going to, besides like board wipes potentially. It would already be hard enough to separate, you know? Decisions, decisions. Because I don't think like we don't have a bunch of like spells and stuff to remove things. Or we do in that deck, but I mean we don't have a bunch of like random stuff. But if you do Lord of Nazgul, and then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you're going to make a wraith. And then when you get 9 wraiths, they get base power 9/9. So that's basically your win con. And they have menace. Then you have the Ring Wraith card. So you have Lord of the Nazgul, Ring Wraith card, and then at least 9 instants or sorceries. So that right there, you're already looking at 11 cards. Then you have the 9 Nazgul cards, um, and the Witch King of Agmar. So that's another 10. So you're already looking at 21 cards just with all of those. And then you're going to want probably a couple of resurrection cards. You want instants and sorceries that probably amass orcs, I'm assuming. And draw cards potentially. I mean, that's just hard enough to say. I mean, 20 cards of your 100, like 21 cards. So basically a fifth of your deck is Wraiths and Nazguls. And then you still have like Fell Beasts and stuff that could be in there. You stick Gollum in there because they're the ones that sent Gollum out originally. So you got Gollum, Patient Plotter. You got the Undead Nightmare Elf guy that you could keep resurrecting. Yeah, 'cause there's a lot. I don't remember exactly where the elf guy was. He was in the marshes. I think that's outside Mordor. I'm not sure. But you would have I don't know how many Golem cards you would have. But it's blue black. So you wouldn't be able to run all the Golem cards. It'd just be the Patient Plotter, I think. So you'd have Golem in there. You'd probably have the Nightmare Elf in there. You'd have um probably Trebuchet in there, Mordor Trebuchet maybe. But you'd want some things that produce a bunch of orcs. But when it comes to black and blue, you might have to rely on instants and sorcery spells. You might have to have actual, like you could probably put like blue Saruman in there or something, but it would be rough. Blue Saruman. I don't know if I would really want him in the Nazgul deck, but the thing is I just don't think that the Nazgul deck and stuff will be nearly as strong as like Sauron is. Because Sauron right now alone by himself is really strong. 7/6 or something with that ward ability, and he gets to amass tokens like crazy. And without even any sack outlets right now, that becomes a massive body. So like right now, there's like the last game that I played, I had all of my creatures out just swinging, and I had uh, a resurrection card in my hand, so I wasn't milling my hand and getting more cards. And then I just swung in and was like smashing people. They ended up destroying most of my board, and they had like 3 creatures in the graveyard. And then I played that, and it turns all of their creatures into the graveyard, and all the creatures in the graveyard to the field. As my whole like the Balrog, the Nazgul, Sauron, all of them were just on the field, just ready to go. It was a pretty close game, but like if they're not in the same deck and you're playing like by yourself, like if you're playing by yourself, I don't think playing them separated would necessarily be better. Like if you play the Nazgul, Lord of the Nazgul, I think it's 5 mana, and you get those 9 wraiths out. I mean, that's pretty powerful on itself, but the Lord of the Nazgul can be shut down with targeted removal, where Sauron can't, unless they sacrifice a legendary creature, which most people aren't willing to do for some reason. And then, hmm, yeah, I mean, they're vulnerable to the board wipes. They're vulnerable to getting removed. But if you have Sauron like as your commander, and then you had the Lord of the Nazgul, and then the Witch King, and then 9 Nazgul, I mean, you're already looking at like what we just said a second ago was like 20 cards. And then if you have Sauron and Little Sauron and all his instants and sorceries that he probably has, as well as his things that will help cast more instants and sorceries. I don't know how many cards it is, but it could potentially be another 20 cards. And if that does it, then that's like 40 cards. And then when it comes to the Balrog and like the Kraken thing, like you could probably fit them in there, but you're probably looking at like 50 cards. And then your mana and stuff after that. Be a very tight deck to play, I think. But thematically, I like having the ability to play everything, but it's like if you're playing Saruman and you play a Nazgul, you're not gonna get the benefit of the Nazgul. Whereas like if you're playing um the Lord of the Nazgul comes down, you play a sorcery to like you play like a sorcery to draw some cards, you mass orcs, boom, and you make a wraith. and then you play that Nazgul, and then the Nazgul is going to give +1/+1 to the Nazgul, the Wraith, and the Lord of the Nazgul, and tempt you. Which can get big pretty quick. It's just every time you pull a Nazgul out, if you have more Wraiths on the field, the Nazgul is going to be a lot better. That's all I'm saying. But also, if you summon the Nazgul and the Wraiths and the Lord of the Nazgul and everything and use them over the period of a game, and then they die, and you resurrect them all at the same time, that's going to be a huge bonus to basically if those Nazgul are they considered Wraiths? I think they're considered Wraiths. So if they're considered Wraiths and the Nazgul get murdered, and then you resurrect the Lord of the Nazgul and the Nazgul at the same time, then you automatically have all 9 plus the Lord, and then you're having all their triggers on top of that. So it's going to be 9 +1/+1 counters. It's already like 14 damage on the flying Lord of the Nazgul. But then all the Nazgul are going to get 9 base toughness and power. So they're looking at 20 damage or something apiece for the Nazgul, which is pretty big. And Sauron the Necromancer is already like really strong. And the Balrog is good, but it's not like super crazy. But I feel like if you separated, like if you at least separated Saruman from the Sauron deck, it would give you a little bit more flexibility overall. Like if you're gonna take 20 of those cards and turn them into Nazgul, I think Sauron would be perfectly fine with that if he's on the field because it's already like producing tokens every turn. So you're basically gonna have the Nazgul and then you'd have a massive orc token. But you wouldn't be copying people's spells or anything. So that's probably the biggest thing. You'd be able to produce more orcs potentially, and you'd have the Nazgul. It's probably what you're supposed to do. But yeah, I'm gonna hop off here a bit. There's a storm coming in, so y'all guys have a